next topic here, which is Adam's top topic, talking about Obama saying every man needs a gay friend. So Obama goes on his wife's podcast, okay? And they're sitting there having this conversation, and it opens. They covered a lot of different things. Right off the bat, they talked about the divorce. Hey, aren't we supposed to be getting a divorce and all this stuff? Just tell me.
Conspiracy problems. So we could be talking about Biden administration officials that could be getting pulled into this. And it could get all the way up to President Obama. I mean, having now really read in on this case, there's a real question about whether Barack Obama's about to have the same kind of trouble that Jack Smith caused for Donald.
Barack Obama has now fully entered the stage of his post-presidency where he's less leader of the free world and more that guy who just won't stop showing up with motivational TED Talks no one asked for. If managing a legacy was an Olympic event, he'd be holding a participation trophy made out of polished drone parts and broken promises. While the world faces crisis after crisis, Obama's out there taking selfies with celebrities and delivering speeches about hope, like he didn't quietly step back when his own party needed him most. On top of that, there are growing rumors about Michelle's absence from key moments, from the Carter funeral to basketball games, and even dinners with their daughters. It's the kind of silence that speaks volumes. If it were anyone else, we'd be hearing heartfelt praise or emotional defenses. But instead, crickets. And just when it seems like Obama might fade into soft-focused documentaries, here come Megyn Kelly and Patrick Bet-David, and they're not pulling punches. Megyn, who's no stranger to tough interviews, and Patrick, who questions like he's cracking a conspiracy, both come in swinging. They're dragging Obama's carefully curated image across the floor, exposing the mess behind the polished speeches, especially the alleged Russia collusion setup involving senior officials from his own administration. This isn't just political drama, it's reputation on the line, and it's just getting started. The Obama team once said they don't usually respond to the constant nonsense and misinformation from the White House. They called the allegations against him outrageous, ridiculous, and just a distraction. But let's be real, Obama wasn't so much a president as he was a walking notification, always saying something poetic that sounded deep, until you realized it meant absolutely nothing. He sold hope and change, but the only real change was how smoothly he avoided taking any blame. His words were full of promise, but his actions? Not so much. He made empty inspiration feel like a leadership style and somehow turned charisma into a full-time job. And let's talk about that Steele dossier. It became their go-to proof when they were told to show Russia interfered in the election to help Trump. But when they had no real evidence, they leaned on a file we now know was completely fake. That was the best they had. While serious problems were rising, Obama was more focused on making playlists and giving speeches filled with buzzwords like nuance. Meanwhile, people like Megyn Kelly weren't buying it. You can almost see her eyes rolling as Obama kept getting praised for speeches that basically said, "Do better, unlike me, because I'm already perfect." He even joked once that if he ran for a third term, Michelle would divorce him. At this point, it's clear. The more we dig into the legacy, the more smoke and mirrors we find. Obama once joked that if he could run for a third term, Michelle would leave him. Honestly, she might just hate the mess of politics, something Obama always managed to stay above. Patrick Bet-David didn't buy the polished image. While others praised Obama's style, Patrick cut straight through the fluff, calling out the media games, selective outrage, and Obama's magic trick of vanishing from responsibility while still giving 40-minute speeches on crises he helped create. He's the guy who could light the house on fire, then show up with a mic to narrate the flames while charging for the water bottle, and yet Democrats still treat him like a legend, even though under his watch the party lost nearly 1,000 seats. If leadership leaves a legacy, Obama's feels more like a disappearing act. But sure, let's keep asking Obama for advice on how to win, because nothing says victory like disappearing every midterm like voter turnout was contagious. Now compare that to Trump. He showed up everywhere. CNN, MSNBC, Fallon, you name it. Meanwhile, Obama, Hillary, Clinton, never saw them touch Fox News. Never. Megyn Kelly finally torched the media's soft spot for Obama. And honestly, it was overdue. His coverage was fluffier than a Netflix rom-com. Questions about drone strikes? ignored. Benghazi, downplayed. IRS scandal, buried under a playlist drop. Patrick Bet-David didn't fall for the hype either. He called out the brand, the Obama brand, because that's what it was. Not a movement, a marketing campaign, a peace prize in one hand and a drone remote in the other. He talked unity while bombing 7 countries. And don't even get started on the economy. Barack Obama's plan to save the economy? Well, it looked a lot like giving golden parachutes to the very Wall Street elites who wrecked it in the first place. Behind the scenes, intelligence officials were busy prepping the now infamous December 9th, 2016 presidential daily briefing. According to Racket News, they were going to tell Obama point blank. Foreign adversaries did not use cyber attacks to change the outcome of the election. But of course, that wasn't what the media ran with. On the ground, real Americans were still struggling. Wall Street was back to popping champagne, while Main Street was left in ruins. Obama gave polished speeches about helping the middle class, all while rubbing elbows with Silicon Valley billionaires who treat taxes like a joke. If you had a Cayman Islands account, you were part of the recovery. Everyone else? Good luck. Megyn Kelly called it out plainly. Obama talked a big game on police reform, racial justice, and immigration. But when it came to action, it was either silent stalling or worse, the wrong moves entirely. He deported more people than any president before him, all while smiling in front of hope posters. Healthcare reform? That wasn't a system. It was a backroom deal with Big Pharma, gift-wrapped and sold to America as a revolution. Obamacare wasn't change. It was a half-step built on compromise, where citizens were forced to choose between bad coverage and bankruptcy light. And yet Obama still paints himself as the glue holding America together. Reflecting on landmark Supreme Court rulings and same-sex marriage, he made it all about unity, as if he was the central thread. But as Patrick Bet-David pointed out, Obama spent more time crafting his image than fighting for actual justice. He knew how to look like a leader, sipping Flint water on camera while pipes stayed poisoned, showing up for flood photo ops while FEMA lagged behind. The leadership, mostly just lighting for a good shot. And here we are, years later, and that personality cult still sticks. The optics worked. The legacy stayed polished. But the reality? It's a lot messier when you peel back the slogans. That wraps up our deep dive into the truth behind the Obama legacy. If you've been following this entire series, thank you. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button for more straight-talking takes, interviews, and commentary that cuts through the spin. Until next time, stay sharp, question everything, and never settle for the surface story. People treat Obama like he's a Marvel superhero instead of a former president with a long list of failures hidden under charm. It's not just loyalty, it's nostalgia being used as a weapon. After leaving office, he partnered with Netflix, creating shows no one really needed, while the country dealt with problems he helped create. Megyn Kelly didn't let it slide. She exposed the hypocrisy, pointing out how he preaches about democracy while speaking on stages funded by billionaires with offshore accounts. She reminded everyone that this same man quietly expanded executive power during his time in office. Every night, it's like his die-hard fans are dreaming he's still president. Is it already November? Did they announce he's back? That's the level of delusion. But the truth is, his administration wasn't just flawed, it was polished dysfunction. He mastered the art of doing nothing and calling it wisdom. He avoided real issues but still got praise. And those decisions? They didn't disappear. They still haunt today's politics. Patrick sees through the fake, cool dad image. He knows Obama has become more of a mascot than a leader, smooth and empty, like background jazz. His biggest talent? Making mediocrity look like brilliance. He left behind a weak Democratic Party, a stronger surveillance system, and young leaders who think trending hashtags are actual policy. And now, as he gives more speeches about hope, acting like a prophet, people are still fooled. Meanwhile, there are growing rumors of trouble in his personal life, too. Reports of him attending events alone, Valentine's Day posts feeling scripted, and recent sightings without Michelle. TMZ even caught him dining out with his daughters, but no Michelle in sight. Megyn and Patrick didn't just criticize. They stripped away the illusion. They saw through the polished image, the playlists, the book tours, the speeches about empathy from private jets. Obama isn't leading anymore. He's narrating from a distance, collecting royalties while pretending to still matter. He's like the guy who started a fire, then shows up with a marshmallow stick and a podcast. Every time he talks about leadership, the gap between what he says and what he did grows wider. He promised change, delivered confusion, and left before the cleanup. Now he's a sideline commentator acting like a coach, offering poetic words while the problems he helped create still burn. Trump and others are now calling it out, saying Obama got caught cold in political games that damaged the country. Still, Obama floats in with another polished line, and somehow the media still treats him like he's Moses. But Megyn and Patrick ask the real question. What are we clapping for? The speeches, the image, or the fact that we were sold style instead of substance? Legacy isn't what you say after it's over. It's what you do when it counts. And for Obama, the silence during those moments says more than any speech ever could.